Spike, what does the Smalls brand mean to people, do you think?
I think if there's a brand for Smalls, it represents, well, quality jazz music. It also represents New York City and New York City jazz music, which is a certain kind of attitude and style, kind of connected to the tradition, but still contemporary in its focus, and just a very high level, say, very competent high level kind of jazz music. And I think Smalls typifies that, and that's what I hope the brand will convey worldwide to people.
It's one of the very few places, if not the only place, where you have all-night jams and musicians coming together from all over the city and playing virtually every night. I think every night.
That's right.
Wasn't that a common history in New York in the past?
Yeah, actually, I mean, that was the tradition of the city for quite a long time. We were the city that never sleeps. And there was a time when you had clubs and jam sessions all over the city going all night. You know, gigs that would go till 4 in the morning, and then other gigs that would start at 5 and do breakfast shows. And there was a time when you could stay out 24 hours a day playing music. So for Smalls, part of our mission is to continue that tradition of late nights and after hours.
And you're a pioneer in live streaming of shows. How was it that you came to start doing that?
Well, I have to kind of give credit actually to the Knitting Factory. I had heard about them doing it years ago, doing some live video streaming, although I don't think they had success only because the technology at that time really probably wasn't ready. Mm-hmm. From our end, my goal has always been to just have a way for people outside of the club to access our music, to disseminate the great music that gets created at Smalls every night to a wider audience, a worldwide audience. That's our desire.
Mm-hmm. So from a club owner's point of view, those club owners who look at live streaming, of course there's a long-term monetization or revenue opportunity, but also there's just other benefits I would assume as well in terms of promotion, branding, and reaching out to people who want to be part of the Smalls experience.
Yeah, like I said, for us the most important goal is that people know that there's a place in New York City where great jazz music is being created all the time. You might be able to, if you walk into the club at 12 midnight on a Tuesday, you can hear an amazing band play. There might only be 20 people sitting in the audience. So we want to be able to take that and share that with the millions of people in the world that can have access to a computer. If that can be monetized, then we'd love to see that, obviously, if it could benefit the musicians in the club. But for the most part, our goal right now is simply to share the music worldwide.
What's the history of the club and the history of the name?
Well, the Hit Club was started in 1994 by Mitchell Borden, who's my partner to this day. He's a very saintly kind of man who just wanted to share music with everybody. I think the name really either comes from the fact that the club is very small. He might have some other ideas as to why it's named Smalls. It's kind of vague, to be quite honest, because it's not Smalls with an apostrophe S, it's Smalls. And Mitch started that club back in 1994. He got the space. It was just a raw basement. There wasn't much to it. He tried to get a liquor license, but had some kind of shifty attorneys that ended up stealing his money. And so rather than getting the liquor license, he decided to just let people bring their own beer. And that became very popular with particularly college students who would just come. And since there was no liquor license, we were allowed to be open 24/7. So Smalls became this kind of place where people would go night or day, bring their own alcohol in, and hang out all night and day. And musicians started to cultivate scenes there, and it grew into kind of a subculture of its own.
What's your vision for the future? You're thinking about your club not only as a place to showcase live music, but in effect as your own record label. What's your vision of where you'd like to take the club?
Well, I think that the internet is giving us a tremendous opportunity that has never existed before in the history of music to not only document huge amounts of music, but to make it available inexpensively and quickly. So I think that every performance at Smalls Jazz Club could be recorded and made available to the public to watch it or to buy it or to stream it or to whatever way they want. And I think that we can have a new model where the artists share the revenue with the club in a symbiotic relationship. You know, instead of having one person own another person's work, it's shared together, and in a 50-50 partnership, it's developed and shared with the world.
So what's a typical day or night like at Smalls in terms of your schedule?
My personal schedule might involve me getting up, you know, in time to do some regular business for the club, which would involve bill paying or you know, monitoring at the bar, ordering booze, or dealing with lawyers or whatever taxes or whatever issues. But in terms of the club itself, we open around 4 p.m. in the afternoon. We usually do a jam session from 4 to about 7 o'clock, which is usually a no-cover show. And I have some young musicians that like to do that and run that. And then starting at 7:30, we have our primetime shows. Usually a one-set concert from 7:30 to about 9. Then a two-set concert from 9:30 to 12, and then an after-hours concert from 12 to close, which also involves a jam session. So it's really 3 bands a night, and on the weekends we do 4 bands, believe it or not.
Are there, the typical desert island question, can only have 5 great jazz recordings. Tough to pick, but what would they be?
My personal takes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. I would probably choose some Art Tatum record. Maybe the one where he plays live at that party in California. I can't remember what that's called. Genius of the Piano. I'd probably take Charlie Parker with strings. I'd have to go with that. I probably would like to bring maybe a Miles Davis thing, something of that nature. Maybe Miles Smiles or something from the 60s period. I probably want to take a Duke Ellington thing, maybe one of his interesting records like Queen Suite or something like that. And then I'd have to go with some kind of maybe Fats Waller or some stride piano player. You know, if I had to pick 5, I'm glad I don't have to pick 5 though.
Thanks a lot, man.
Sure, Brian.